All right. Welcome, everyone. Today is Tuesday, August 26th, and the time is 7:01 p.m. We will call this meeting to order. Melissa, will you please take roll call?
Richard Poor.
Here.
Denise Meyer. Andy Cabarrus.
Here.
Carl Hubner.
Here.
Melissa Denton. Here. Thank you. And also seated at the board table is Superintendent of Schools, Bob Thompson, and CFO, Jeff Dowd.
All right. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Board members, in your packets, you have 3 sets of meeting minutes, one from the July 9th special meeting, one from the July 9th non-public meeting number 1, and non-public meeting number 2. So if we go ahead and look those over.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the school board meeting minutes for July 9th. Public, non-public 1, and non-public 2.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All approved? Okay. Moving on to public comment. Melissa, has anyone come forward?
Yes, Chairman, we have one interested participant, and I believe you have Mr. Hall's information there.
Yes. All right, Mr. Hall, if you'd like to come up and speak, if you could please state your full name and your address.
Yes, thank you. My name is Brian Hall. I live at 25 Page Lane in Hampstead. So I'm here tonight to, I guess my oldest son starts at HMS tomorrow, and as we've been so excited to start, several friends of ours in town have commented that they'd love to have a middle school ice hockey team. And there's been a lot of discussion, but I don't think anyone's come and proposed that to the board and to the district. So I wanted to do that. I did reach out to Principal Bernard earlier in the week, not like she didn't have enough on her plate this week already. And I think there is enough interest in the school system to have the team, and there is local opportunities to play. So my ask was for the school board to consider having an ice hockey team and perhaps circulate an interest form or some way to identify if there's enough students interested to form a team.
Personally, I'll just say I think it's a great idea, and I think an interest form is a good next step to really, gauge the interest of the HMS community. So at this point, I think Bob or Amy Bernard, if you're willing, I think, again, that would be the next best step.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm happy to work with you on a proposal, getting information out to see what the interest is. We do actually have a policy, policy JJA, which outlines student activities and clubs, and it sort of forges a process for parents or students to come forward to propose a new club or activity. And that generally starts with the building principal, and I would work with Mrs. Bernard and yourself to see if there's interest, determine what the budget might look like, and then from there take that information and look to do a proposal that we would ultimately bring to the school board. And I think the timing of it seems to be to align well with the fact that we're just starting our budget process, so we can give some consideration to what that might look like if we were to fund a team for the following school year. So.
Excellent. Thank you.
And as a resourcer, we did not have a lacrosse team till last year, so if you reach out to the people who started the lacrosse team, they may be able to help you walk through the process of how they got to where they are as a guide.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Moving on to current business. We have the Memorial Committee update with Superintendent Thompson.
Yeah, so thank you. As we are all aware, the Hampstead community was absolutely devastated by the untimely loss of HCS art teacher Michael Torelli. And that occurred 2 days before the end of school. And in the face of just an awful tragedy, I was really honored to bear witness to our staff who were hurting, and they really stepped up in those last few days of school for the benefit of their colleagues, for the benefit of students. It was absolutely remarkable, and I'm really proud to play a part and be a part of that team. It was absolutely extraordinary. And so the summer came, and most folks went off on their summer vacation. A core group of individuals with representation from both buildings and from our district office participated in what was called a memorial committee. And these were individuals who were really committed to ensuring that the memory of Michael Torelli and his legacy last for generations. And so I get to sit in just a little bit on some of that work and hear the ideas. And I was commenting to a colleague today, I'm really proud of the people on that committee because they were hurting. And you could see that in every conversation that they had, with every brainstorm came emotions and tears, and but they got the work done, and the work continues. And so we have invited one very active member of that committee tonight to kind of share out the work of the committee. Again, it's ongoing, so there'll be future activities. So I would like to turn the microphone over to HCS physical education teacher Sarah Arroyo.
Hi, my name is Sarah Arroyo, and like Bob said, I am the PE teacher at Hampstead Central School. On behalf of the Memorial Committee, we're excited to share some of the meaningful and creative ways we will be honoring our colleague and dear friend Michael. Some activities took place during our opening days together, while others are planned for the near future. During the opening days, staff members had the opportunity to design a paintbrush magnet. Wooden-handed brushes were available and were personalized using a variety of art mediums, giving us each a chance to create a special keepsake. In keeping with the theme, teaching is artistry, and celebrating Michael's love for tie-dye, staff in both buildings were invited to participate in a fun tie-dye event. A variety of items were brought in for this event. Tie-dye stations were set up outside of HCS, providing an opportunity for us to come together as a school community to honor Michael's memory and create something meaningful through art. The HCS Memorial Committee has also been working on a special mural project to honor and celebrate Michael. This will be an opportunity for the entire Hampstead community to come together and make art. With the help of wonderful Kim Downey and many volunteers, we will be hosting multiple opportunities for anyone with a connection to Michael to come in and paint a heart along a colorful painted ribbon that will go down the wall and that will be running up the main staircase at HCS and leading to his art room. This will be a communal piece of art that will celebrate Michael's legacy of love. We're also taking steps to have the art room dedicated to Michael, who has devoted his entire career to enriching the lives of children in Hampstead through making art and celebrating kindness and love. There will also be opportunities coming up outside of school to commemorate Michael and his art. There will be more details coming soon. That's it. Question, I don't know, questions or
Yeah,
no?
questions?
No questions. I'll just say how grateful and thankful I am that this committee was put together. And obviously, I know, again, with how important Michael was to this community, that's not an easy job to undertake. And I just appreciate how committed you all are and how awesome this is that we're celebrating him and his legacy. So awesome job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. One of a kind.
Yeah. And Andy, I don't know, do you want to hold up the T-shirt? So
Absolutely.
folks
We
at
should
home can
all
see?
hold up our T-shirts.
Board members were provided a T-shirt. That's great. That's awesome. And so this shirt was one of Michael's designs, and says, make art with a kind heart, which was one of many Mr. Torelli quotes that we remember fondly. And the shirt was designed by Hampstead resident and a parent. And so we were able to purchase the shirts with a generous donation from the Mothers Club. They donated $500. Also, the PTSA donated $500. And then the district, we did pay for the balance of that. The shirts are available to the community. Information has been sent out and will continue to be sent out. And the proceeds, the person who made the shirts, any proceeds will go to an endowment that has been created for Mr. Torelli that will be at Pinkerton Academy, which will allow for scholarships to be provided to students in perpetuity, so year after year. And so the goal is to raise, in order to start the endowment, $20,000. And we'll send information about that as well. And it goes directly to Pinkerton Academy. They'll manage it, and they will, help in the selection process of a student who will receive that scholarship. So,
Excellent. A great cause. Board members, any other questions or comments? Okay. Moving on to the Facilities Summer Projects Report with Facilities Director Jeff Mackey.
All right, quick facilities update. We had another productive summer here in facilities. To kick it off, we had some larger summer projects, as we always do, that we completed, and those were as followed. We replaced a large roof section at the Hampstead Central School. Originally, I had planned to do a smaller section. Both sections were installed at the same time 30 plus years ago. The larger section we noticed it failing quicker than the other one. So I decided to shift a couple of my projects to get that done. We had removal and replacement of our water filtration PFAS tanks here at the middle school. The gym foyer bathrooms at the central school were fully renovated, including floors, partitions, sinks. We upgraded our fire panel at the central school, along with some other fire system upgrades here at middle school. I'm trying to phase that in. It's going to be a couple-year project to get us up in, to a modern system, but the fire panels were the big to-do. And lastly, I was able to continue adding portable ACs at the middle school. Now the 6th grade wing has it. The last wing to get it will be 8th grade next year. The UA wing will be the only wing that doesn't have it, only due to the size of those rooms. We'll have to look at an alternative to get those rooms cooler. Outside of those projects, we were able to get our general routine maintenance done, along with our deep cleaning of all rooms throughout both schools. And I just want to give credit to my entire staff for stepping up every summer as they do to get these schools in working order. We would, we're extremely fortunate to have every single one of them to get ready for the year. So, questions?
No questions. I'll just echo that I'm super grateful for you and your team and
Appreciate it.
keeping the buildings maintained and up to date through the hot summer months.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right, moving on to technology summer projects with Technology Director Joe Dion.
Good evening, School Board. The technology team has had a very busy and productive summer. Our department processed over 860 devices for students, including provisioning new kindergarten, 1st grade, and 5th grade Chromebooks. We also updated and optimized staff devices, including adding 35 new teacher devices to align with their 4-year device rotation. We processed and certified our end-of-year reporting to the state of New Hampshire in July. We also enhanced our Virtue encryption email solution. In the past, last year, we had about 40 licenses for individuals to send encrypted data, and now it is available for every single staff member. We actually push it down to every account, so all they have to do is click on the blue button in the top right of their message to make it secure. And this aligns with our goals for data governance and cybersecurity. Also, we had a printer project happen over the summer. We've replaced all of our Ricoh printers within the district with a new brand, Konica Minolta. We have used this brand in the past, and we did that by acquiring a new lease with Specialized Purchasing Consultants Corp, or SPC Copy Pro. One of the best features about this one is with this deployment, all the multifunction copy scanners machines in the district require a staff PIN number to use. This is their employee PIN number, unique to them, and that will provide secure and reliable printing and copying for everyone. And that's all I have. Do you have any questions? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joe. All right, moving on to the 2025 Extended School Year Report with Melissa McDonald.
Hey, good evening. Before I get to extended school year, I wanted to just give a general update on how busy student services was over the summer. We had numerous meetings starting from the week school ended until just up to earlier this week. I do want to give a huge thank you to those that were able to make themselves available to participate in our meetings, including our school psychologist, Renee DeCorpo, for endless hours of evaluating and report writing. Special educators, classroom teachers who made themselves available, and then all of our related service providers. It was hugely appreciated. We were able to hire all of our openings for our professional staff positions under student services, which is very exciting to start the school year fully staffed. That also includes a school psychologist intern, which we did not have last school year, so we're excited to have one on board this year, as well as 2 social worker interns that will fall under the supervision of Julie Barbic. We do still have some paraprofessional openings, so as always, if you know of anybody who would like to come and work in one of our schools, we are very interested and would be more than happy to reach out and schedule an interview. With me tonight is actually Katie Gallant. She was our extended school year coordinator this summer, and she is actually going to be the one to provide you with some more specific updates about our ESY program that ran during the month of July.
Hello, good evening. As you know, I'm Katie Gallant. I'm a first grade teacher at Hampstead Central School. I was the ESY coordinator this past summer. This was my first time in this role, and I have to say it was a wonderful learning experience for me, including learning just how extensive of a position this really is. So this summer, the ESY program ran from July 7th till July 31st. We were able to offer ESY to 128 students from preschool through 8th grade based on recommendations from the students' IEP teams. At the end of the school year, parents received the initial recommendation letters, and from there, they were able to make the decision if their child would be able to attend ESY this summer. The options that we offered were the preschool program, a full-day program, or drop-in tutoring for grades pre-K through 8. These options were based on individual student needs. Preschool students participated in a schedule that was very similar to their school year schedule, so they came in for 2.5 hours every day, where the full-day students came in for 3 hours. Of the 112 students who attended, we had 49 full-time students at HCS, 5 full-time students at HMS, and 58 students in grades pre-K through 8 who received tutoring or related services through what we call like drop-in services, which simply means that students only attend for their specific needs based on their IEPs. Nothing can go perfectly smooth, so we did have a few glitches, and that was with the bus company, but we were able to sort that out pretty quickly within like the first week or so, and then we had one bus driver learn the whole route, and then he went on vacation. So it was summer, you know, he's allowed, but the woman who filled in for him did a great job, and we were kind of able to like work that all out once he was back. Another challenge is competing with summer rec. It's hard to pull students away from field trips, obviously, or foam parties. I had to go get a student with a towel and be like, come on, time to come over across the street and come learn with me. But he was a good sport about it. But the great thing about that is that we are able to work like side by side with Summer Rec and walk kids to and from. So if they're going to Summer Rec and they don't have a ride to ESY, we are able to hire a staff member to safely walk them to and from the middle school or to and from Memorial Gym or right from our gym. So that's really helpful. And then the kids can go right back to partying with Summer Rec. At the end of the program, parents received a summary, a progress summary that detailed what skills their student worked on throughout the summer. And we're really grateful for the families who were able to attend, and we hope that this helps with a smooth social and academic transition into the next grade. I actually had a mom come into open house tonight and tell us how excited her child was to be here, and she's like, and I really think it helped that he came all summer and now he's like so excited to be here. And I said, that is exactly what we want for your student. So I'm very pleased with the ESY staff who worked with me this year. They were patient with me as I took on this new role, and they showed up every day with flexibility, professionalism, and a great work ethic. As always, I'm accepting feedback from staff or from families about ways that we can continue to improve the ESY program in the Hempstead School District. That's it. Thank you. Any questions?
Board members, any questions or comments?
Yeah, good presentation, and thank you for stepping up into the leadership role. And I love the attitude and just in general the idea to try to make it as accessible to as many people as possible and make them feel good about coming in the building. It's really important.
Awesome.
And also from a parent perspective of a kid that attended REC, but then also attended the ESY program, having that seamless transition in and then back into REC was so awesome. And so that's my feedback, is continue doing it that way.
Yeah.
It worked out great.
Perfect.
And I'm going to say exactly what they said, having two kids that went through it as well. But also, if you're looking to get into school leadership and the only issue you had was the bus company, that's awesome, because it's usually their fault anyway, so it's fine.
And if I could add too, how do I follow that? Katie just did an amazing job. And, talking with her this summer, like, you're the principal of a school, essentially. Like, you're in charge of transportation and staffing and student outcomes. And for a rookie, she did a really great job. And I knew right away it was going to be a great ESY when I showed up on the first day carpool. And to see Katie taking command and be like, all right, you go down there, you go to this car. So she was telling me where to go and what to do and not to get in the way. And I just knew, I'm like, it's going to be a great ESY. It was. And what I really appreciate about Melissa and Katie's sort of partnership on this is, even a week in, Katie saying oh, next year we should consider doing this.
Yep.
Or why do we do it this way? Have we thought about doing that? And that's exactly what we want to do. Continuous improvement, always looking to be better. And, Katie really did an excellent job this summer. We appreciate all your work.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I felt like Tara Lynn running around with my keys and my walkie and
Yeah.
my phone,
Yeah.
juggling all the things. I have a new appreciation for admin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have the budget transfer request for the district reading specialist with Mr. Dowd.
Oh, thank you. In front of you, you have a memo requesting a budget transfer of $75,420 from our to our special education. I don't think I have it set up correctly, but it's going to be going to our special education line from professional services. And essentially, what we're doing is we are transferring. We're spending enough on professional outside services to be able to merit and warrant a position in the district to handle that. When we have to offer outside services, we also have transportation that goes along with it, disruption in the day, and the volume has gotten to a point that it makes sense to do, and we were able to find a very competent hire for the position. I'll let Bob speak to it a little bit more, because it is sort of a good thing that we've been able to do.
Yeah, so the addition of the position, we appreciate the board taking action. What that does is it helps to reduce our contracted services line. It's always preferable for a variety of reasons, including compliance with the Department of Labor, to hire whenever possible our own school district employees. And we had the opportunity to transfer Michelle Carberry, a veteran third grade teacher, a phenomenal teacher of reading, who holds the credential. and had lengthy conversation with Michelle today about her schedule. She's going to have the opportunity to work a portion of the day at the middle school, and then the majority, so to speak, at the central school. She's going to hit the ground running. Again, another individual who has some great ideas. You know, we recognize that we want to make some improvements in our literacy program and our delivery of instruction in tier 1, 2, and 3 when it comes to reading. And I think Michelle is a great addition to that team. So, entertain any questions that folks might have.
Board members, any thoughts, concerns, comments?
She's already been moved into this position?
She was, after the board had approved the creation of the position, she was transferred into the position at the end of June.
We just didn't transfer the money over.
We just didn't transfer the money.
Got it.
But the board had approved it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And we already backfilled her position because they're fully staffed over there, right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, anytime we can have internal services as opposed to contracting is good, and then, yeah, hopefully we'll see the results.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we anticipate salary savings, but it's so early in the year, like school hasn't even started, so I would be hesitant to try to identify what that amount is, but that certainly would be, and again, that really wasn't the primary driver. That's obviously helpful, but this was really to meet a student need and a district need. But I'd be happy to report back at a later time, you know, where we are with reading services as the year progresses.
I think that's the key thing is getting that report back on where we stand as a district related to reading services. Obviously, not just progress specific to Mrs. Carberry or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that,
Yeah. Let's be clear about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
I'd love to see some specific reading data. I don't know if you guys are using Dibbles or Acadians.
Yes, we are
Maybe
both
where
actually.
we are and what the services, are you condensing positions? I feel like I read somewhere that you took 2 away to
Yeah,
add
so
one.
last year we were operating primarily with 3 contracted service providers that would come in district to provide services. At this time, again, it's the beginning of the year, we're looking at 1. And we have met as a team. We've held several meetings in the spring because we knew that there were a lot of moving pieces with our reading program, especially with the approval of the new position, and looking at data, looking at areas to target. And I know that, you know, and this is really a collaboration between Nicole and Melissa. I know they'd be excited to get a team out to be able to do a presentation on what the data looks like, and then also
I like data.
what changes have been made to the program this year.
That'd be great.
So.
And maybe what your MTSS model and service looks like for special ed reading. I know it can be individualized, but maybe just like a general.
Awesome, we can do that.
All right, at this point, I'll make a motion to approve the budget request for the reading specialist position.
Second?
Any questions or discussion? All approved. Okay. Also, with Jeff Dowd, we're talking about unreserved fund balance.
So we have unreserved, we have fund balance retention.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We have fund balance retention on the agenda, but realistically, Joe, is that what I sent you? Incorrect, I'm sorry. Well, I can go over what we have. So our audit team was out at the end of the school year, about 3 weeks in. We were their first client of the year, and they completed their work in a couple days. Everything seemed to be satisfactory. There were a couple of points. One is to take a look at our ethics policy, and the other is to, a couple of policies that we'll end up updating as well. We don't have an assistant treasurer, which I think the board had known about, so that came up as a potential issue. We have a potential workaround for that, so we can discuss that maybe on the agenda for the next meeting. If that's something that would be of interest to the board. One of the problems we've had with an assistant treasurer is that we need someone who knows how to do the job, so that if the treasurer drops out, we can have someone jump in and take over and reconcile accounts and do all that stuff. What we've had in the past is a treasurer who can do that work, and we've had an assistant treasurer who can sign checks when the treasurer's not available to sign checks. That's not helpful. So this way, if we can have an assistant treasurer who's at a different level, and we'll have to explore just a few options, it might be a good way to cover, because we just haven't had, if you're good enough to do the treasurer's work, you're probably gonna be a treasurer somewhere, not an assistant treasurer. So that was a finding that they made. If we ever had an event where something happened to our treasurer, I anticipate that we'd have to call a special meeting of the board, and have someone appointed to serve in that capacity. So just a couple of small findings. I know that we'll get a very big audit report that comes out that tells us all about our financials and our operations, how much they cost and all that, but I know that ultimately there's like two numbers that everyone's interested in. So I've got them up on the board for you. And it's the unreserved fund balance number. So we'll start at the top. This year, we had $2,082,702 in what I'll call total unreserved funds. There's a capital reserve contribution of $150,000 that was voted on by ballot on March 6, on Article 6, March 11, 2025, and the fund balance retention that the board voted for in July. This brings our unreserved fund balance return to taxpayers of $1,532,702. As we get into the budget process, we'll be able to dig in and see some of the variances between revenue and expenses, see where we end up, see if we can do a better job last year. But I think we understand what the goal and what the feeling is amongst the taxpayers in town. We tried to, I think, run a pretty lean budget this year, so we were able to come back with some healthy offsets for the taxpayers. So that's that. We'll have a DOE 25 and MS 25, which are the two documents that I'll submit to the state. And the DOE and the Department of Revenue Administration may have some adjustments to those numbers. So those numbers are just subject to any changes that they may have. But I'll send that out, and you can take a look, and we'll get it signed off, reviewed, and filed with the state, hopefully the end of this week.
Excellent.
So did all the federal funds that we were expecting get released, and we're able to access them?
No, so our allocations, and I think I emailed the board with those allocations. There's a little bit of confusion because what I emailed the board may be only half. So half was released. We're trying to get clarification on that. So receiving only half of what would be our year-long entitlement can be problematic. So right now, we are planning to move forward when we budget for FY27. We are looking to include an assumption that we would not receive title funds for Title II and Title IV. And Title II is essentially professional learning for teachers, and Title IV is like student innovation and student programming. We have received some assurance that Title I, which is money that we use to support students who struggle in reading and math, and then IDEA with students with disabilities, we have some assurances that those funds will continue to be made available. But we're going to move forward with an assumption that Title II and Title IV will not be available.
And to clarify, those Title II and Title IV funds, is it being made available to other districts due to qualifications or something like that?
So there's always some adjustment, right? Based upon district need, and each one of the funds has different criteria. So Title I is tied to free and reduced lunch numbers. IDEA is obviously tied to students with disabilities. And so the allocations shift every year, where some districts get more and some might get less. And so I'll give you an example. So our allocation that we received for Title I, and again, that's the allocation we have now. It could change. So for 25-26 is $23,000, and last year it was $29,000. And then with Title II, our allocation, and this is where it kind of falls apart. So our Title II allocation, again, it's for teacher professional learning. Our allocation is $9,800 for 25-26, compared to $34,000 for 24-25. And the reason why this is important is, again, title funds and federal funds generally are used for those things we don't anticipate. So there's this annual unanticipated expense, and that is mentors. Like, we don't know when we go to budget how many mentors we're going to need for the following school year, what professional support those new hires will need, what professional development we're going to engage in. So now with the money appearing to sunset, we're going to have to calculate in our budget what we anticipate, which we can do. It does go a little bit against what we've done with zero-based budgeting, which is like we want to predict like down to the nickel. So we'll have to build those expenses into what we propose as an operating budget. Next, we have, so we don't receive any Title III funds. We receive Title IV. Allocation for this year is $10,000. That is equal to what we received in 24-25. So that's sort of an update. But again, we may receive additional allocations, but until the money is sitting there in our grants management system, it's nothing is a guarantee.
So yeah, so we're talking about not hundreds of thousands of dollars, but a smaller amount that we would be able to absorb if we didn't get it to get through this year and then budget for next year.
Yeah, I would say with how we've been running some real tight budgets and the fact we're under defaults, that ability to absorb is maybe open to interpretation.
Yeah.
Well, but to your point, Dr. Hubner, we have to. Like the funding is not. It's just not there.
Board members, any other questions or comments on unreserved fund balance or title funding?
I think $1.5 million is roughly, we were what, a $36 million budget last year?
Yeah.
Right, roughly, so we're giving about 4% of our budget back. So I feel like that's, even though we're holding on to $400,000, I still think that's a good number and a good percentage to go back. And I think, especially given a couple other school districts that have vastly underestimated how much they would cost this year, I appreciate the budgeting you guys have done.
Agreed.
And I think it's also important to note, to Mr. Dowd's credit, I mean, when you look at that unreserved fund balance, there's really two pieces. There's money like we didn't spend, and sometimes that's because we couldn't fill positions, but it's also revenue, right? That's money that we're taking in, right? So that revenue goes right into that unreserved fund balance. So, people should realize that like when you are good at your job and you're good at trying to recoup every nickel of money on the revenue side, and that's a lot of work in special education as well, as we know, that unreserved fund balance represents revenue and not just money. It's not like we're not spending money. Right. And that's just, I think, an important note for folks. We're delighted to be able to hand back that dollar amount to the taxpayers, because like Dr. Hubner said, a lot of districts, not only are they not handing back money, but they're carrying liability.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to daily sub rates with Bob Thompson.
In your packet, you will see a proposal to the board for the daily sub rates. So again, this is an item that the board has authority over to annually set the substitute rates based upon a recommendation from the superintendent. I essentially am recommending that we maintain the rates, at least for this year, revisit them next year. And I've done a quick comparison with some other districts, and we do remain competitive. A few years ago, it was around the time of COVID, a lot of districts, including Hampstead, upped their sub rate, and they've sort of lingered and kind of hung out there. So we're relatively competitive from a compensation standpoint. And so real quick, our non-certified substitute teachers, the rate is $137.50 per day. If you are a certified substitute teacher, and those people that hold a current certification, it's $150 per day. Oftentimes we try to grab those people and have them come be long-term subs or come work for the district, so that pool is pretty small now. Substitute nurses is $268.75. And then paraeducators is $19.64 per hour. And then secretary substitutes is $19.20. And what I want to mention about those is, so our paraeducators and our secretaries are hourly employees. Those other categories are salaried employees. This compensation is sort of equalized. So if a teacher day is, say, 7 hours, and you are a paraeducator working the amount of hours equivalent to that person's schedule, you would be paid the same, if that makes sense. We did make a minor adjustment to the secretary substitute line. And then the other real benefit here is when someone subs for 5 days and they don't even need to be continuous, they receive a $50 bonus as well. We appreciate all the work that our subs do. They really help us make sure that we have continuity of instruction in our classrooms. And I do think I'd like to recommend this to the board with some consideration that for the 26-27 school year, we look to do an adjustment. And I'll entertain any questions the board might have regarding the substitute rates.
Can I just make a motion?
Yep.
I mean, I'd make a motion to accept it as presented by the superintendent.
Second. I really love you get a bonus every 5 days. I think
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's great.
An awesome idea, yeah.
Board members, any other discussion, questions? Okay, all approved. All right, moving on to HAS negotiations. So back in May, I received a letter from the Hampstead Association of School Staff, also known as HAS. It says they desire to basically bargain a collective bargaining agreement for the school year beginning 2026. And on behalf of the board, I drafted a letter on August 20th saying that basically we intended to negotiate with them and that we will be setting a date in the near future to begin those negotiations. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. Moving on to the 2024-2025 scholarship recipients. So just a little bit about the scholarship itself. The Hampstead School Board Scholarship was established in 2003. The school board every year votes on whether or not to do the scholarship. And in your packets, board members, you'll see the recipient list from all the prior years, starting in 2003. And it started out as only one winner per year, but has now grown to 2 per year, 1 for a boy, 1 for a girl. And I just want to make it clear to the public, the Hampstead School Board does not select the scholarship winners. The Pinkerton Senior Awards Committee meets in the spring to choose the winners. And the winners from the previous school year in June were Amanda Holcomb Buendia, and she's attending Sarah Lawrence College in Bronxville, New York this fall. And then also Julian Martinage, who's attending Bryant University in Smithfield, Rhode Island this fall. So again, congratulations to them. Julian did send us a thank you card. It's in our packet right here, if you'd like to take a look at that. So at this point, we need to decide whether we want to offer the scholarship for the upcoming year, and then we also need to set the amount that we want that scholarship to be. So I'll entertain any thoughts or comments.
I just have one question. I know you said the board at Pinkerton chooses the students. Do we know how they're chosen? Because just a boy and a girl doesn't sit well with me. Should be two deserving students.
I can find out. I'll be honest.
I mean, it just it seems a little archaic.
Yeah, I can certainly inquire. This has been like this long-standing thing prior to our tenure, so I'm happy to ask.
I mean, I just hate if there's 2 deserving males or 2 deserving females.
Well, and to me, the key word is deserving. One would hope that with this committee, they're selecting
I'd
the
certainly
best
hope
and the
so.
brightest, the best citizens, all of the good things that would qualify you to be deserving of a scholarship. And I would like to think that that's happening, but like you said, more information on their selection process, I think. would be
Absolutely.
helpful.
I can, yeah, certainly. I can try to bring that information back for the next meeting.
So I'll make a motion to have the scholarship for 2 deserving students.
Yeah, I think we
yeah.
fund it regardless.
Correct. Yeah, $1,750 a person, and then when we get more information, we can talk about it at the next meeting.
So just to be clear, it's really kind of 2 separate motions I'm viewing here, only because first we're making a motion to offer the scholarship for the upcoming school year.
Yep.
And then we're making another motion to set the amount that we want that to be.
Okay, I will make a motion to offer it for the upcoming school year for 2 deserving students based off criteria that we will find out about later.
And I will second that. Any discussion? All approved?
I'll make a motion for it to be, the dollar amount to be $1,750 per student.
Second.
And before I ask the board, all approved, do we want to increase the amount, or do we want to keep it the same as last year?
I mean, we moved it up $250 from last year.
Okay.
Yeah. I think maybe next year we can revisit it, but for now.
Okay. All approved? Thank you. All right. Moving on to summer hiring approval. Bob Thompson.
All right, board members, you'll find a very hefty packet in your board materials, which is summer personnel reports ratification. It was a very busy summer when it came to hiring, and I want to thank Dr. Hubner for all of his work and very diligent in reviewing the nominations and then approving them. And we will, we're going to ask the board to sort of ratify Dr. Hubner's decision-making. And, it's also worth noting, too, that the board has the authority. They approve professional nominations, but we also hire support staff. Early in the summer, approved the hiring of an administrator. So I want to thank Melissa Post for her work as our HR administrator. It was a very busy summer, and I have the privilege of meeting with these individuals and interviewing them, but the legwork that goes into onboarding and getting people ready to be in front of students tomorrow is it's a daunting process. So I'll go through them real quickly, and hopefully I don't mess up any names here. So professional staff nominations, we have Amber Morrill, HCS Special Education Teacher, Case Manager. Jessica Murray, also an HCS Special Education Teacher, Case Manager. Julia Hand, HCS Elementary Classroom Teacher. Maddie Farrell, HMS Music Teacher. Abigail Shaw, HMS Math Specialist. Helena Kazangas as the HMS Elementary Classroom Teacher. And Danielle Zucchi as the HCS Elementary Classroom Teacher, and then also Gretchen Shaw as the HCS Art Teacher. So there's a lot here to look at. If you have any questions, be happy to answer them.
So I just want to applaud you again, because you're getting teachers with at least some level of experience, in some cases significant amounts of experience. Like, we're not hiring people fresh out of school with no experience. And again, it's super helpful, and then bring them in and then integrate them into our, what we want to do in the district. So thank you again for being as diligent as you are, and for everybody coming out for the hiring committees during the summer, which is just a little bit extra, but I think it's always worth it to get the right person.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'll echo that of those people spending those extra hours, taking the time out of their day to conduct these interviews. Carl as well, taking the time out of your day to kind of oversee for us on behalf of the board. So thank you. Board members, any questions or comments on the candidates? Or the hires, I should say. We do have to motion to.
So, yeah, so I was, Missy, yeah, sorry, Missy does know Jessica Murray, so I'm going to make a motion to accept Amber Morrill, Julie Hand, Marissa Farrell, Abigail Shaw, Helen Kazinas, Daniel Zuki, and Gretchen Shaw, and then we can do a second one to have a separate motion so that if she wants to abstain.
Second.
There you go.
Any discussion? All approved?
And then I will make a motion for the nomination for Jessica Murray.
And I would just want to add too that there's nothing from a statutory standpoint that compels Missy to abstain, but it sounds like that she's choosing to do that. Just a clarification.
Yeah, I think it's
important.
good precedent. Yeah.
I would agree.
Any discussion? All approved? Okay.
You got to ask for abstention. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, board members. Did we miss
Which one? Oops.
That's why there's two separate votes.
Okay. All right, moving on to board comments and correspondence. Board members, anything to share? Okay. Most of us have children in the district, and we all attended the open house, so I'll just say I'm thankful. I had the pleasure of attending the staff opening day, so that was awesome. Every year I'm so grateful that I went because it kind of validates why I'm here. It validates hopefully why all of the staff show up year after year to serve our students, and just really pumps me up for this upcoming school board year. So as always, thanks for inviting me. Thanks for allowing me to attend and allowing me to speak. I did. I did not juggle, but I did talk about my artistic capabilities or lack thereof. Okay, I gotta up the ante next year.
Yeah, you get about 360 days to
Yep.
run your juggling game.
Training starts now.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, yeah, and I do want to say too, Andy, that I appreciate your words, and I talked to Andy. You know, we always there's a lot of theater to our opening with staff. I mean, first of all, we have everyone in the room. That includes substitutes, that includes bus drivers, our custodial staff, our food service, everybody in the room that is so integral to this organization. And we try to just use it as a motivator. Here we are, and there sometimes has theater to it. We've done Family Feud, and we've done Olympics, and this year, just with Michael's passing, it was really a lot of thought and care went into a program that wanted to balance the celebration of a new school year, but with, remembering a colleague that was just so dearly loved. And I appreciate your words because I think it fit in nicely with the goals. And the piece with this year's opener too was there was a lot more fingerprints on it. The memorial committee played a hand. There were a lot more voices. It wasn't just the administrators getting up there and talking. It was staff. And I think there's a lot of takeaways from this opening that I think we can apply to the future. So,
Absolutely.
not to steal your thunder with your board remarks.
No, that's what part of what made this one special. It's like you said, the extra participation. All right, moving on to the personnel report. If there is one.
There is no personnel
There is no
report.
personnel
Sorry,
report.
looking
Okay,
for a little-
moving on to the superintendent's report.
Yeah, so tomorrow we go live. Tomorrow's the first day of school. We're very excited. We are ready. And, you know, just as Jeff Mackey had indicated, the schools are a busy place in the summer with our custodial staff, our tech staff, our office staff. It is, for some of our departments, it's actually the busiest time of the year. And so I want to just say I really appreciate all the work that they've done. The level of detail when you see the custodial staff, for example, just in action, taking care of things that sometimes you kind of take for granted a little bit. They work really hard. We really value all of our year-round staff. Like they got it done. And so tomorrow we open our doors and we will welcome 831 students to the Hampstead schools. Well, actually, I got to take that back because preschool doesn't start till Thursday. So we'll adjust that number down. And I just want to give you some preliminary enrollment numbers. And again, this will change tomorrow, but just preliminary. So for HCS, we will welcome 478. This is up from last year, which was 470. So that's an increase of 8 students. And just for some reference, the NESDEC projections, which is the company that we used to project what our enrollment should be this year, they had us at 471. So we're ahead of the projections, which seems to be a trend over time. Middle school, we will welcome 361 students compared to 356 students that we had. So that's an increase as well. And then we will, no, I'm sorry, that's 368 for the middle school. That 368 that will start. And the NESDEC projections were 360. So again, we're 8 students above the NESDEC projections and ahead of last year. Pinkerton, they will welcome, and again, these are rough numbers, things change, 336 students compared with 358 from last year. And again, every year those numbers fluctuate just because new classes move in. NESDEC had us at 340, so we're a few students down when it comes to our Pinkerton enrollment. In terms of class sizes, haven't done the breakdown, but we're all within policy in terms of making sure that our classes we have a good teacher-student ratio. I also just wanted to throw on the board's radar, because there's been a lot of talk about this, and we've been talking about this as a staff. We'll have our first policy meeting on September 16th. On the docket for that first meeting is cell phone policy. Again, the district, we don't have a district policy, but both schools have procedures that are pretty tight. There'll be some adjustment to that. And the reason we didn't meet over the summer to come up with a policy, 'cause some districts did, the new cell phone law requires input from staff and from parents. We wanted the school year to start so that we can get that input, and that will help drive policy. We're also looking at the Parental Bill of Rights, passing a policy relative to that. The good news is, in reviewing that new law, most of the provisions of the Parental Bill of Rights are already codified in law, and they have been for a long time. Things such as access to their child's record, which we call FERPA, access to curriculum, so that to be able to view instructional materials. So in looking at that parental rights law, I think we're in pretty good shape. We just need to have a policy to sort of codify that. And then the other one, and this is really a request coming from Mr. Mackey, is we are looking to memorialize Mr. Torelli by naming the art room after him. Most districts have a policy for naming school buildings and facilities. Hampstead does not. So we will put a policy forward in September, and this way we have a process in place. And then once that policy is passed, which we would anticipate could be as early as the October meeting, we will come forward with a proposal to the board, because most policies, that approval is done by the school board, for the naming of the art room, and there could even be one for the kitchen at HCS, because we know the food service person there who passed away last year.
Excellent.
So it's a little preview of policy, and I just say that because it's on a lot of people's radars. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight too is, so we just finished a 3-year strategic plan. This year we're sort of calling a sort of self-study, self-reflection year. I'm actually in the process of working with Mrs. Tomaselli to identify a facilitator who can come in and help us. There's a couple of different ways to write a strategic plan. We're not going to hire a company to do all of it for us, but we are going to have someone come in to help guide the process. That being said, we're not going to take a year off from our making continuous improvement. So we met as a leadership team, as we do in the summer for our retreat, and we came up with 3 overarching goals. They are relatively broad, and at the next board meeting, we will come back with action steps from our building administrators, and we welcome feedback. So we have 3 goals. The first one is around curriculum instruction and assessment. Provide rigorous, standards-aligned instruction that is engaging and accessible, equipping all students to become future-ready learners who think critically, collaborate effectively, and apply their knowledge in real-world contexts. That's a lot there. Each one of those words will be broken down for you to understand, when we use the word accessibility, we didn't just throw that into the goal. Access is ensuring that all of our students with disabilities, students who speak other languages, are able to be enriched by instruction and curriculum. So we'll go into further detail at the next meeting. Our second goal, student academic and behavioral support. There's been a lot of conversation about multi-tiered systems of support. It will be a major focus of our work this year again. It will be continue to strengthen a clearly defined multi-tiered system of supports, MTSS model, that provides targeted and effective academic and behavioral interventions, ensuring that every student has access to the support needed to succeed. And then lastly, a staff and student, what we call the staff and student wellness and safety goal. We foster a school culture rooted in mutual respect, caring, and belonging by prioritizing the wellness and safety of both students and staff, creating an inclusive, and that wording, inclusion again, inclusive environment where all members of the school community feel valued and supported. So they're broad, but the words are powerful. And then when we come back for the goals presentation at the next meeting, you'll see the action steps that we're going to use to make progress. I will send these out to the board members, and if you have feedback or thoughts, as I know you often do, and we appreciate, please provide that to us in a timely manner so that we can make sure that we incorporate that in the work. And both building principals are doing the same thing with staff. They're meeting with their leadership team. How can we make progress to these broad goals where we can kind of target them and make them specific to each of the buildings and then also the district as well. That's really the superintendent report. I welcome any questions you might have, feedback.
In regard to the cell phone policy, I only bring it up because I was on Instagram and Pinkerton did some marketing materials for their students on what their policy looks like.
Yeah.
And it was students acting it out. And I'm just wondering, are there plans to communicate with Pinkerton on what they're doing for their policy? It doesn't mean we need to follow them lockstep, but I think getting a baseline for how other districts or other schools are operating might be helpful.
Yeah, so I haven't talked to Pinkerton specifically, and part of that is high schools are very, very different.
Absolutely.
Sort of places compared to middle and elementary schools. What I have done is I have communicated with the South Central superintendents, that's 22 local area superintendents, and have begun reviewing information that was sent out to families, policies. Some districts right away created policies. They got their policy committees together. Again, the statute's pretty clear. You've got to get input from folks.
Right.
And so if you look at our procedures for both buildings, they pretty much align to what the law requires. The area that we're going to have to tighten up on is, this isn't a cell phone prohibition. This is a prohibition on electronic communication devices. And not clearly identified in the statute, because again, this was attached to HB2. This was attached to the state budget to just get this through. But communication in devices are laptops, Chromebooks, and smartwatches. And I think if you were to ask our educators, because when you walk through the hallways and classrooms here, you don't see kids with cell phones. That doesn't mean they don't have them on them, but you don't generally see them. Where we do see students with electronic communication devices is smartwatches. And so we're going to need to communicate with parents. We're going to need to educate kids. It takes, when we change a rule, we have to give some people grace as we adjust to that period. And I think that will be tough. There is a carve out in the law for students with disabilities, for students that might have medical plans, such as like Dexcom, which is a diabetes management software, and then also English language learners, so if you needed a translator. So those will be decisions, those carve-outs will be decisions for IEP 504 teams to be able to make. And in some cases, if we're saying that the student needs these devices in order to access their education, there's some obligation on our part as a district to provide the device to them. So there's definitely work to be done.
And I know Amy Bernard is not here, but and I'm not envisioning this being posted on social media like Pinkerton did, but I think some, not really marketing, but some spelling out of the policy, some show and tell of the policy to the students in some way, whether that's a video that's shown, whether it's a link embedded in the next newsletter, or acting out a scenario during an assembly, would be helpful just to really get the message across to the students in a way that's relevant to them.
Absolutely. In the start of the year, those tend to be things that we do already. Yep. And there's still some questions that, I think of the 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C. For better or for worse, like students have cell phones and a parent wanted to stay connected to their child when they're 500 miles away. I get that. I get that. Yeah. And so, trying to create, to kind of go through all of the different scenarios that occur throughout the school year and seeing like what is allowed and what's not, and we'll get it done. Right. And just to be clear too, this law is great. Cell phones are a distraction. Social media is a distraction, both in and outside of school. And so we're moving in a direction where, like, let's not have these devices even be part of the school day. I applaud our lawmakers for passing this.
I definitely think for the students to be able to come in for 6.5 hours and not have to worry about social media is going to give, whether they realize it or not, give them a break. And I do think it's part of it too is letting the students, but also the parents know, like, this isn't, like, we support it, but this isn't even our decision. Like, we have to do this. So
I would agree.
Something we had talked about in the spring that I'd just like to get updated is like on the bullying. Like, I know you were working on it, but maybe sometime in the next couple meetings, if we can get like historically what we saw for reporting, what we saw for how many were investigated, how many bullying results were, just to kind of get to see if what we're doing is getting more, if we're getting more access to students are more easily coming forward, and just to give the community an idea of like what it looks like in our schools.
Yeah, what does the data show?
Yep. Yeah. We can absolutely do that. And now we submit at the very end of the school year our school safety report, which includes that information, and we can look at our own data. And again, the data collection changed at the middle school with the plug-in for Power School, but we can certainly provide that data. I can tell you anecdotally, because I did look at this year's reports, I did review them. Our numbers of reports are not substantially higher from previous years.
Okay.
And we created mechanisms. We moved forms to be electronic. We increased the number of training opportunities for staff. We did the online reporting form. And I think we need to do a better job of promoting the online reporting form, because I think there might have been 8 reports that were online that made through that form. So there's definitely work to be done.
And we may make it easier, and we may not get reports, and that may be because that's the amount of reports too. So like, it's just knowing I think some of it is knowing what the process is, and the community know what the process is, so that if they have suggestions or if they feel like we're not doing enough, that like they can come forward. But like, I do think that we've looked at it, we've addressed it, we've tried to make it better, and I think just laying that out and what historically it looks like, I think would be good for the community to see.
Agreed.
Yep, absolutely. And, specifically, I've met with Principal Bernard, who's very excited about the data collection with the new system that they have, and is outlining, steps that they can, put in place to be on the proactive side in terms of like identifying locations in the building, times during the day, and being able to shift supervision of those areas. So there's actually a lot of excitement because we have the tools, and I know we had started with the middle school, and now I know Joe is working with Dr. Cheney at the central school to implement the same system at HCS. So
No, I think we're moving in the right direction.
yeah.
All right. Board members, anything else? Okay. At this point, we are going to move into non-public, so I will make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A32 D and I, consideration of the acquisition, sale, or lease of real or personal property which, if discussed in public, would likely benefit a party or parties whose interests are adverse to those of the general community, and I, consideration of matters relating to the preparation for and the carrying out of emergency functions.
Do we expect to have any information when we come out?
No.
No? Okay. All right, we will not be coming back.
We will not be coming out of non-public.
May I take roll call vote
Yes,
for that?
please.
Thank you. Ms. Denton?
Yes.
Saying yes for non-public. Thank you. Dr. Hubner?
Yes.
Mr. Cabarrus?
Yes.
Mrs. Meyer? Yes. And Dr. Poor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Time is 8:13.